I love this nigga right here.
July 21st, 1986,
The spy who betrayed the FBI.
KGB agent Alexander Fefilov had a conversation with an FBI mole known as B. Throughout his career, this mole would expose more U.S.
Wait, KBJ is Russia. I just noticed that.
secrets to the Russians than any spy in the history of the FBI, and evade detection for over 2 decades, causing the deaths
Dude, I
of
just
several
seen
of
gay
the Bureau's
porn on my
operatives
timeline.
working secretly within the KGB. An audio tape of this conversation caused a $7 million investigation to locate the mole. And years later, after several red flags were raised within the FBI, with a piece of white tape and a garbage bag filled with secrets for the Soviets, B, standing handcuffed in the middle of Foxstone Park, had only one question.
Yo,
What took you
I had a dream that I tried to buy a nuke and I got like arrested. And they were trying to throw me in jail for the rest of my life. But I don't know what happened. Well, the dream fucking ended. Right? That was one of them dreams where like I went to sleep, but then I was like, damn, I lucky when to finish the story. I woke up and then I went back to sleep because I wanted to finish the story.
So long.
It was a whole different dream by the time I went back to sleep.
In 1989, Felix Bloch, a top European specialist in the U.S. State Department, was suspected
Bloch.
of spying for the Russians. The FBI, working with the CIA and the French Directorate of Territorial Surveillance, tracked his movements across Europe, but they were unable
Who's
to discover
scarier, the
any
CIA
evidence
or the
against him.
FBI?
Then, without notice, the KGB cut contact with Bloch, and the investigation fell apart. The FBI began to question how the KGB might have learned of their investigation and known to drop Bloch. They suspected a mole in their ranks. However, with more than one intelligence organization involved and countless agents on their roster, the list of suspects was endless. Bloch would never be charged with a crime. The same cannot be said of the other spies connected to him. By 1979, Major General Dmitry Polyakov of the
That's
Soviet
Putin.
ground forces had served as a double
Nigga, is that Putin's daddy?
General Dmitry Polyakov
Yo, that deadass might be Putin.
of the
Swear
Soviet
to
ground
God.
forces had served as a double agent for more than 2 decades. Codenamed Top Hat, he'd risen to the rank of general within the Soviet army during the Cold War, and the information he smuggled out was invaluable to the CIA and FBI. Polyakov's level of access and the enormous amount of information passed to the U.S. intelligence services made him an asset unlike any other. Then, without warning, he disappeared from the radar. In 1986, the KGB arrested him, and Dmitry Polyakov was sentenced to death for treason and subsequently
Damn.
executed.
All them niggas
As
is
if
not
that
playing.
wasn't enough, a year before Dmitry's execution, Sergei Motorin, a junior KGB agent, was recalled to Moscow and arrested for trading secrets from the Soviet embassy in Washington,
Yo, Russia
D.C.
looks so beautiful in
Motorin
movies.
was tried, condemned to death, and received a bullet in the back of the head. The same thing happened to Valery Martinov, and KGB officer Boris Yeltsin was taken into custody by his employer, convicted of high treason, and sentenced to 15 years in prison. With their agents within Soviet agencies dropping like flies, U.S. intelligence started an investigation to find out who was behind the leaks. Years later, in 1994, the CIA narrowed their search to a single agent living far beyond his means, Aldrich Ames. Ames's trial revealed that he had exposed virtually all CIA and other American and foreign service agents working within the Soviet Union, and the judge handed him a life sentence. However,
Ooh.
the CIA later realized that Ames,
Traitor.
who hadn't been in the US at the time, couldn't have warned the Russians about the Bloch investigation. Furthermore, Ames knew nothing about some of the compromised agents. The mole was still deep within US intelligence services.
Like that's on some that's on some what's that shit called? On some like Shield shit. Like remember when Shield was corrupted and Nick Fury was like, "Oh, can't trust nobody." So I'm saying, nigga, like you don't know who. Half of the people
The
corrupted.
FBI and CIA formed a joint task
Hail Hydra.
force with the sole purpose of pulling on that loose thread. The suspect, codenamed Graysuit, would have to have had access to every compromised case in which Ames was not implicated. A list of suspects emerged. Fast forward to 1998, 4 years into the investigation, and the FBI was focusing on a man named Brian Kelly. Having been involved in the Block investigation, Kelly was the
Big ass
prime
balls
suspect.
on your
The
chin.
task force searched his home, tapped his phone, and put his family under surveillance. The FBI gave Kelly administrative leave and interrogated him, his ex-wife, his sisters, and even his children, all of whom denied any knowledge of wrongdoing. It was only after pulling apart Kelly's life that they discovered Kelly wasn't the person they were searching for. The FBI accessed a file on who the Russians had codenamed B. The file, which had cost the agency $7 million, contained a conversation between KGB agent Alexander Fefilov and the mole, dated July 21st, 1986. The agency had a recording of a disembodied voice, a trash bag of secret material, and notes sent by the mole to his Russian handlers. An FBI agent claimed to recognize the voice but couldn't attribute it to any agent he knew. When they searched through the notes in the file, the FBI discovered a quote by General George S. Patton, who made several speeches prior to the reinvasion of Europe by the Allies during World War II. In one of his speeches, Patton referred to the purple-pissing Japanese, and Task Force analyst Bob King remembered a fellow FBI agent using the same quote. The agent listened to it again and identified the speaker as Robert Hansen. Robert Philip Hansen was born and raised in Chicago before graduating and joining the city's police department. He was a family man, an active Catholic. In 1976, Hansen left the Chicago Police Department and joined the FBI. In 1979, Hansen, who had a background in accounting and information systems, was transferred to the agency's counterintelligence unit and assigned to compile a database of Soviet intelligence. Shortly after the assignment, Hansen approached the GRU and proposed a deal. In return for financial compensation, he would transfer confidential U.S. intelligence to the Soviets. They agreed, and so began his career in espionage. Hansen had no
Caucasian
obvious
male.
political or ideological motivations. He betrayed his country purely for personal financial gain, frequently dropping copious amounts of classified information. At the time, espionage still operated on a system of dead drops. A spy would take a hiking trail or enter a park and leave a package of classified information to be picked up by their handler. Hansen's system was no different. No matter where the FBI transferred him, the system remained the same. He would tell his contacts that he had information and leave a package wrapped in a black garbage bag in an inconspicuous location. In 1985, Hansen sent an anonymous letter to the KGB offering information in return for money. That letter contained the names of double agents Polyakov, Motorin, Martinyov, and Yutsin. Hansen's relationship with the KGB would be a bountiful one for the Soviets, buying them around 6,000 classified documents of U.S.
What are they gonna do with this? Like,
Then, in 1987...
what are we gonna do with this information? Are you just getting this information on agents and shit? What are you, like, looking to get ahead on the stock market? I don't understand. Are you trying to attack us? Are you trying to, like, get to us? Because we can go to war. No, let me not say that.
Hansen was transferred to
I forgot
FBI
they got shit,
headquarters
too.
in Washington, D.C. There, he was assigned the task of investigating the leak that had led to the deaths of Martinyov and Motorin. The FBI had assigned him to search for himself. By this point, Hansen was a pro. He performed an extensive study of every possible leak, conveniently leaving himself out of the picture. Once Hansen had compiled his findings, which included a complete list of Soviets who had been in contact with the FBI about moles, he gave it to the KGB. He didn't stop there. A decade prior, the Bureau had built a secret tunnel beneath the decoding room in the Soviet embassy, known as Operation Monopoly. Hansen informed his Soviet handlers of the tunnel's existence before U.S. intelligence services could use it, resulting in Operation Monopoly producing no information of any kind. By this time, he had been reported twice by FBI agents who suspected him of being a mole. The first report was filed in 1990 by his
fucking
brother,
traitor!
fellow FBI employee Mark Wack, due to information he had received from his sister, Hansen's wife,
Oh, it's gonna be the
regarding a
whole
pile
fam?
of cash she'd found in a dresser and Hansen's apparent desire to retire to communist Poland. The FBI could have cracked the case then, but nothing happened, and no one knows why. A year later, the USSR collapsed and disbanded. Fearing a possibility of exposure as the Union went through a period of upheaval never before seen, Hansen cut contact with
That's when them
Soviets.
niggas was lit.
However, just 10 months later, he felt confident enough, or perhaps needed money, and attempted to reinstate contact. For the first time since beginning his espionage career 13 years prior, Hansen approached a Russian agent in the Russian embassy's parking lot. The move was admittedly risky, but Hansen was determined. He identified himself by the codename he had devised for him at the beginning of his time spying.
Bro,
for the
it's
Soviets,
literally just like the
Roman
fucking
Garcia.
movies. Shut up, nigga. Oh, that's crazy, bro. It's like, you know, like you know how the fucking spy movies be where they send the package off, they hand it off, shit like that, nigga. Nigga, that's when they getting it from. I just realized they're getting it from real life.
Name ended with the letters CIA.
I wanted
the
to be a
Russians,
spy.
who had never unmasked
Garcia.
their source, assumed that
Why
the
this nigga
name was
sexy?
Hansen's way of communicating that he was a CIA operative. However, the GRU officer didn't recognize the codename, and despite Hansen introducing himself as a disaffected FBI agent willing to offer his services as a spy and hand over a package of classified documents, the officer drove away. The GRU officer protested the incident to the U.S. State Department. However, the lack of evidence meant that the investigation hit a dead end. Somehow, Hansen got away with exposing himself and his codename to a GRU agent, but he became paranoid. Then, in 1993, Earl Edwin Pitts, who had been convicted of spying on the FBI, also accused Hansen of spying. Hansen had hacked the computer of a fellow FBI agent under the guise of showcasing a weakness in the system. His FBI superiors were unconvinced. The agent whose computer had been hacked later suspected that Hansen had done so to check whether or not the Bureau was investigating him following the parking lot incident, which they weren't. Hansen failed to re-establish contact with the Russians for the better part of a decade. However, he relentlessly searched internal case records to ensure that he wasn't under investigation. And each time he found that he wasn't, his confidence grew. Finally, in 1999, Hansen reached out to the KGB's successor, the SVR, and successfully resumed his espionage activities after 8 years of silence. He repeatedly took data compromising countless
This guy's a
U.S.
fucking
intelligence
idiot, bro.
efforts.
See,
sealed
it's
in a garbage
always
bag.
with the criminals and the niggas doing stupid shit. The only reason why niggas get caught is because they get too greedy. Why you think my homeboy Lil T in the cell right now? Man, bro, because the nigga got greedy. The nigga got greedy. The nigga should have took his band. Ooh, am I going to jail? The nigga should have took his bands, got out of there. Niggas always get too greedy, bro.
And left it at a drop site.
See, one thing about me, if I ever turn to a life of crime, nigga, I'm going undefeated, like Floyd Mayweather, nigga. I'm gonna do a good enough. I'm gonna have a good plan to either. I'm talking on some Batman type shit. So the plan got plans for the plans. You see what I'm saying? So there's no way it's gonna fail. Or, nigga, I'm gonna find a good money glitch or like a good whatever. Either I'm robbing or nigga swiping cars, whatever, right? To where I can do it like maybe once, maybe twice, and then it's enough to where I don't need to do it anymore, and I'm good off that. And then I'll never do crime again. Won't get greedy. I'll get away. I'm pretty sure there's stories of niggas that getting away. I mean, I'm pretty sure it isn't, because the niggas that don't get caught, they don't get stories.
Maybe the repetitive nature of the drops made him feel secure.
But
Maybe
niggas always
the
get greedy,
routine
bro.
Made him sloppy.
He wanted.
Maybe
He wasn't set up. He had that little 100 bands going to the strip club, 20 bands a night, going to dinner, $3,000 dinner, $2,000 dinners, $1,000 dinners, Corvette. You know he white, Corvette off the lot. Well, however much money he had, nigga, he started going crazy. He moving, retiring, shit, man.
maybe he didn't
You need
realize
some money? 1,000, 2,000, like.
that he was leaving his fingerprints all over the sealed bags of state secrets. He definitely didn't know that it was 2 of those very fingerprints smudged on a garbage bag kept in a Russian file that would seal his fate.
Where your gloves, nigga?
The fingerprints lifted
Yo.
from the trash bag found in the Russian file on B solidified FBI suspicions that Hansen was the mole. and the joint FBI and CIA task force put him under surveillance. Furthermore, the FBI relocated him to Washington, D.C. to keep a closer eye on him and remove his access to sensitive data. There, the agency promoted him to computer security supervisor and gave him a brand new office and an assistant. Unbeknown to Hansen, young Eric O'Neill was far from a fresh-faced personal assistant. In reality, he was an undercover specialist tasked with watching Hansen and finding the smoking gun that would allow the FBI to close in.
That's crazy.
O'Neill was also a Catholic, and the FBI felt that the common ground between the two men might inspire Hansen to reveal himself. Although Hansen never confided in O'Neill, the personal assistant did get close enough to notice that Hansen's personal digital assistant, PDA, never left Hansen's sight. Hansen soon knew that something was off. He suspected that his car radio contained a bugging device and called a friend at a computer company to ask for a job. In his final letter to his Russian handlers, Hansen complained about the FBI moving him to a do-nothing job that removed his access to important information. He also wrote that something has aroused the sleeping tiger. He knew that U.S. intelligence agencies were on his case, and he planned to retire before they could catch him. Soon enough, Hansen showed signs of prepping for another drop. The FBI knew that they needed to catch him in the act. It was now or never. The agency needed to know when and where the drop would happen and knew the most likely place Hansen would store that information was on his PDA. The agency put its plan into action. Agency staff invited Hansen to a surprise target practice in the basement firing range. They gave O'Neill the all clear, and he entered Hansen's office and took the PDA. He carried the device to fellow agents
No, they set this nigga up.
floor below and waited for them to download the encrypted files. The plan went perfectly until Hansen, mere minutes into target practice, decided to leave the firing range. O'Neill received word via his pager that Hansen was likely on his way back to his office, but the download was excruciatingly slow. The seconds ticked past.
Okay,
and
this
the staff
story's starting to seem made up.
panicked at Hansen's imminent approach. At the last second, they completed the download, and O'Neill
Get the fuck out of here, nigga. I'm not even believing this shit no more. This just seems like some shit in a fucking movie, nigga.
I'm a 71-year-old veteran. When I was in the military, I had a SSIR clearance. And these days, he's got to security very seriously. And they were always warning and checking constantly. I remember when the hazard situation was reported my first time, this guy goes to spend the remainder of his life in jail. Thank you for your service.
Nice fake story, bro.
rushed upstairs to return the PDA without Hansen suspecting
You
anything
crazy,
was
nigga.
afoot. The data not only gave the FBI Hansen's drop site, but also the date, February 18th, 2001. On that fateful day, Hansen entered Foxstone Park and placed a piece of white tape on a sign, the signal to his contacts. He then took the garbage bag sealed package to the drop site, the underside of a footbridge passing over a creek running through the park. He stepped back onto the bridge, knocked the dirt off his shoes, and walked back to his car. As he reached for his keys to unlock his car, two vans screeched to a halt beside
Get on the motherfucking ground, nigga. Yo, if I ever see the look, if I'm ever in like a Pablo Escobar situation, a life of crime, I'ma always keep a bomb on me, like just in my back pocket or some shit, or maybe strapped to my fucking chest, just in case it's ever about to go down. I'm not going to in no jail, cause first off, I'm a snitch. I'm not a snitch, but it's just like, nah, I'm pretty sure if I'm doing some type of crime, I gotta be standing on business. So I don't even want to give myself the opportunity to snitch. First off, I'm dying. I'm not doing no 10 years. I'm not doing no 12 years. I'm not doing 30. I'm not doing 40. I'm not doing none of that. Either I'm free or I'm dead. Them niggas pull up on me. Ah! Just like that. It'll be a crazy story too.
him. A SWAT team emerged and took him into custody. During his 22-year stint as a spy, he received $1.4 million in cash, plus diamonds and Rolex watches for the information he provided that
Damn.
exposed countless American secrets.
And this back in the day.
revealed the names of dozens of double agents and led to the execution of no less than 3 agents working alongside U.S. intelligence services. Hansen went on to plead guilty to 13 counts of espionage, 1 count of attempted espionage, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit espionage in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern
Safe to
District
say
of
that
Virginia.
nigga's fucked.
The judge sentenced him to 15 consecutive life sentences without parole,
shit.
which he served in Colorado's Supermax prison, also
Ooh, damn.
known as ADX Florence, where he spent 23 hours per day in solitary confinement until his death on June 5th, 2023, at the age of 79.
And this is why, if you're in that type of life, you keep bombs on you. How old was the nigga when he got arrested? It doesn't even matter. He was sentenced to 15 life sentences. The judge is being a dickhead at that point. You should have just looked. This is what I would do if I was a judge. All right? I would just look at that nigga. I would say, look outside. Right? Look at your family. Look at the cars passing by. You will never see that shit again until you die. Hit the motherfucking gavel, nigga. It's over. It's over. It's over. Let's go home. Let's go home. That caffeine kicking in. Let's go home. Right? Those are the things I'm saying. And why I say if you're going to live this type of life, I ain't gonna lie, he should have stayed retired. All right? If you're going to live this type of life, no women, nothing but niggas. Nothing but niggas. Until you die. Niggas in half frozen food that tastes like dog shit. Sometimes you get ramen noodles. Yeah, that shit costs money. Who's putting money on your books? Maybe get a little TV. I don't know. I don't think niggas in Fort Knox don't get TV. I don't know. That's the state max. Shit. You got no choice but to be gay. Man, it's unfortunate. But me personally, if I was in that motherfucking cell, I would have went just like this. I would have lined up to the motherfucking wall, or I would have just would have had a nigga shiv me. I mean, he was in the cell though 23 hours a day. Nah, solitary confinement. I would have lined up to the motherfucking wall. Boo, 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 boo. Just keep banging my head as hard as I can until I die. Blood for Shama. Or I would have a nigga just kill me, bro, but I don't know.
Consecutive life sentences without parole, which he served in Colorado's Supermax prison, also known as ADX Florence, where he spent 23 hours per day in solitary confinement until his death on June 5th, 2023, at the age of 79. Robert Hansen is still considered the biggest breach of security in the history of the FBI.
Oh, that nigga got a movie then.
With countless confidential operations behind closed doors across the globe, we can only wonder how a mole could have operated for such a long time in what should have been an airtight network.
Shit, man. That nigga died, bruh.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.